Hello everybody, it's Chase here, and welcome back to yet again another build video. So this one is my Warden ZERG PvP build. Again, it's not for PvE, it is for PvP purposes. I tried doing this in veteran PvE and the most DPS I could ever hit was between 15 to 20k. So again, not a PvE build. This is for PvP purposes only. But let's go right. I'm not even buffed, and already I'm sitting at 18,000 max magicka, 18,000 max stamina, practically 40k maximum health, 37, 45 weapon and spell damage, 36% crit, 6,234 pen, 23k resistance, and 1707 crit resistance. Now, I activate my buffs. Now, a second, let me get this. $5,019 weapon and spell damage, 48.0% crit, 43k maximum health. We're still at the same pen, but we got almost 30k resistances. Alright, now let's buff our resistances again and look at the back bar. 34k, so this is above cap for PvE. Which, by the way, I will have, it says 3k pen, but I will have around 5k because this build is not finished yet, and I'll talk about what I'm missing later. But, alright, yeah. Let's go over the crit on the back bar. 42%, not as much as the 48% on the front bar, but it would still do. 4,212 weapon spell damage, and this one is 4,452. Alright, so, attributes. Everything put into health. This is vital because this is a ZERG build. As a ZERG build, you want insanely high defense. I'll talk about this later. For my food, I am using Bewitched Sugar Skulls, because this will give you maximum health, maximum stamina, maximum magic, and health recovery. So I'll say, unless you go with crown fortifying meals, or unless you don't know how to make sugar skulls, go with crown fortifying meals. If you know how to make sugar skulls, then do that. That is the best food option for this build. And I am using the Thief Mundus. Don't worry about the lycanthropy, I'm not using it. The only reason I have that was because someone wanted the bite, so I got my werewolf up to level 6 and did that. But I am using the Thief Mundus. Now let's go over skills. Okay, you know what? First of all, every passive for this skill line, every passive for this, and every passive for this one. Dual wield, you need every passive except for Slaughter and Controlled Fury. Destruction Staff needs every passive. Light Armor, every passive. Medium Armor, every passive. And Heavy Armor, every passive. For Werewolf, you don't have to do this, but I'm using the Blood Moon passive, because as I said earlier, I used it to give my friend a bite. But that's not vital for this build. Fighters Guild, you need to get every passive. Undaunted, again, you have to get every passive for it. I will say to get every passive for Assault, and you need every passive except for this one for Support, because this is a Cyrodiil build. and I am using a Khajiit. Khajiit is the best option for this build, because the Khajiit gets, or they get the max health, max stamina, max magic, health, magic, and stamina recovery, and then increased critical damage done by 12%. And increased experience gain with the medium armor skill line, and that does help a little bit if you want to make a new character for this build, because I am wearing every type of armor. Alright, so, as I said, I'm a Khajiit. You don't worry about any of these passives. But, what you need to do is really work on this. Or not this one. You need to max out this passive, because I'm using foods. But this one needs to be maxed out, if you can do that. Of course I can't, because I'm not high enough level for provisioning yet. But my Dragon Knight has it on 50. I wouldn't worry so much about these passives. I do always like to get the soul summons, though, because it's helpful. Alright, let's go over the class skills. So, on the front bar, I have the blue beta. It's the more forbidden etch. So, it gives you major brutality and sorcery, it restores magic every second, and it gives you, or not, it doesn't give you immunity, I'm thinking of this one. This one gives you immunity, but this one gives you every 5 seconds, the netch removes one negative effect from you. If no negative effects are removed, you instead increase your damage done by 5% for 5 seconds. Now, on the back bar, I have Depictive Predator. I'm using this on the back bar because it's a defense buff, and that's where most of my defense comes from, is the back bar. Alright, so I'm using Depictive Predator, and we'll talk about this later, but if you don't have the mythic that I have, I would advise going with the other morph, because it'll give you minor berserk instead of minor evasion. Alright. I mean, you can use this if you want, but if you do, I would advise putting it on your back bar. Because, as I said, that's where all your utilities, heals, and defense is going to come from. And then the front bar is just a lot of buffs. And this one is a stun. This one is what gives you so much crit, and it gives you extra healing. Alright, so Fungal Growth. Again, this is on the back bar, because it's a recovery buff and a utility. Alright, so Budding Seeds, again on the back bar. Alright, you don't have to use this one if you don't want to. But if you do, then I would replace Elemental Suppressibility with it. Alright, so on the front bar I got Lotus Blossom, as I just said earlier. I have Northern Storm, Ice Fortress, Arctic Blast. And now again on the back bar, I've got Elemental Suppressibility and Pulsar. I'm not using this for the minor protection because I already get it from Ice Fortress. But what I am using it for is the minor mangle. Alright, so now that we've done the skills, let's go over the sets. So I'm using the Order's Wrath daggers on the front bar, both with sharpened. One with disease damage, glyph, and the other one with poison damage. By the way, I am using golden glyphs for everything, okay? Ice Staff of the Order's Wrath. Okay, this is going to change later. It's going to have the same trait and same glyph, but later I'm going to go into Black Rose Prison and replace it with this. And that's why I said that I will have higher pen on the back bar. But this also gives a bonus to your impulse skill, so that helps out a lot. Alright. Oh, yeah, we'll not talk about that yet. Alright, for my rings, both of my rings are Order's Wrath. Both of them are protective. One with a spell, or one with a magic recovery glyph with weapon spell damage, and the other one is damage with stamina recovery. And now my mythic of choice is the Sea Serpent's Coil. I am using a physical resistance glyph because I've got a bit of light armor, so I'm trying to even it out. And I have the protective trait. This says, while at full health, you gain 40% damage reduction. After taking damage while at full health in combat, you gain Serpent's Rebuke for 10 seconds, snaring yourself by 40%, and gaining Major Berserk and Major Courage, increasing your damage done by 10%, and weapon and spell damage by 430. And the damage reduction does not apply while Serpent's Rebuke is active. Now, I really like this because this is a Zerg / anti-gank build. So if you're at full health and that cooldown is not active, people are going to have a hard time trying to gank you. Now for my armor, I'm using the New Moon Alkalite. I have the medium boots with impenetrable. Alright, keep in mind, my light armor is going to be divines. My heavy is going to be reinforced, and then my medium is impenetrable. And it's that same way for every piece. But, as I said, everything golden maximum health glyph. So this is what New Moon Alkalite does. Gives you a stack of crit, a stack of weapon and spell damage, a stack of pen, and then even more weapon and spell damage. Alright, so medium boots, medium gloves, and then I have heavy pants and heavy chest, and then medium belt. Or not medium belt, I have a light belt, sorry. Now for my monster set, I am wearing the Zon set. This is really good, especially for dueling. It is... like, this set is lethal damage, especially against vampires. It adds 634 critical chance, which is like 5%. When you deal critical damage with a light or heavy attack, you have a 33% chance to tether to your enemy for 10 seconds. As long as you're a main within 8 meters of them, enemies touching the tether take 577 flame damage every 1 second, increasing by 100% per tick, and are inflicted with a burning status. And it does scale off your weapon and spell damage, so let me just pop this right now. You can see it went up to 720. Let me go generate my ultimate real quick. I don't have an ethereal will, but I do have one of these guys that Kakashi made for me. This might take a bit. Alright, so I got my Dawnbreaker ultimate. Now, as you can see, it went up to 685. Oh, never mind. That's not the morph that increases your damage. I was thinking of my Dragonite. Hang on. This might take a little bit longer. I gotta generate Northern Storm. Keep forgetting it's my front bar that increases my damage. The back bar is a stun. I mean, for Arctic Blast, you could go for Polar Wind, but then if that's the case, then your only stun on this build is going to be your ultimate, and that's not a good thing, because you're going to need to cast your Northern Storm more often, because it gives you mitigation and damage, and it's also a huge snare and an AoE. But honestly, I don't care what anyone says. Northern Storm is arguably the strongest ultimate in ESO. Oh, I forgot I ran out of potions. Well, for this build, you want to use tripods. Alright, now let us test it. $789. Alright, so now this is on, okay, for example, it said 500 with no buffs. So, first it's going to do 500 flame damage, and then it's going to do 1,000, and then 2,000, and then 4,000, and then 8,000, and then 16,000, and then 32,000, and then 64,000, and so on and so forth. So, I really like this set. You need to have a bit of damage, even for a Zerg build. But keep in mind, this build is not made for dueling. This is a Cyrodiil build. But if people do want to duel me, that Zon helps out a lot. I don't have really high recovery. I'll talk about it in a bit. It's because I'm a heavy attack build. So, champion points. Gifted Rider. As I said, I'm a Cyrodiil build, so that's very important. I should probably max this out. No, never mind, I'll go with this, because it fits the event. Alright, so you need Rationer, you need Liquid Efficiency, and Steve's Blessing. Alright, for Warfare. You need to get Wrathful Strikes, Untamed Aggression, and Bulwark. And then come over here and get this, because this is a heavy attack build. So this is going to increase your damage of your heavy attacks by 20%. I should probably work on this. You want to max out all of these. Everything in here, except for these two, need to be maxed out. Except for this one and this one. Everything in there needs to be maxed out. Now, you need Quick Recovery, Elemental Aegis, and Hardy. Now in here, I'm just using Blessed. Yeah, it's been a while since I've played this tune. But yeah, you want to get all those. You want to get Nimble Protector, come over here, max out hasty, max out celerity. Alright, by the way, this needs to be maxed out too. Alright, so you want to get boundless vitality, fortified. Spirit mastery, I don't really recommend this. This one is optional. But what you can do instead of that is come over here and get this. Or you know what, never mind. I know a better option. You can come over here and get this one. While under the effects of a damage shield, I'm pretty much always have a damage shield because I'm mostly using my frost staff, and as I say on my frost staff, I'm a heavy attack build, so I'm pretty much always getting the shields. Alright, so I guess that concludes today's video. Bye.